Hello, it's EmployeeAMillion. Welcome to 2021. This is the future, and it's looking pretty bright at the moment. It's looking pretty bright for me because I have so many more questions for the Q&A this year than I did last year. Thank you very much for your support and your interest, guys. At this rate, this growth, I don't know if I'll be able to answer them all next time I do this or next year, but I'm very thankful for all the questions. I'll try to get through as many as possible, starting with Jack McGinns. His question, who is your favorite voice actor? Well, I have two answers for that. One male voice actor, one female voice actor. My favorite male voice actor is Rob Paulsen because he just brings so much life and energy to all of his characters, no matter the show. Ninja Turtles, Animaniacs, Lilo and Stitch, Jimmy Neutron. So many of his characters on those shows are some of the best and some of the most memorable. He has an excellent range, and unlike other seriously famous modern voice actors like Billy West and Tom Kenny, I almost never go, oh my gosh, that's Rob Paulsen. I have to look it up to know that it was him doing it. He's almost like a chameleon in that sense. He's a masterful voice actor, and he seems like a great guy too. My favorite female voice actress is Grey Griffin. You might also know her as Grey Delisle, or Mandy from Billy and Mandy, Frankie from Foster's Home, Vicky from The Fairly Odd Parents, Sam from Danny Phantom, Azula from Avatar. A lot of great, or at least unique and interesting characters, and she brings a lot to those performances as well. I can better tell when she's doing it, but she still brings a lot of energy and humor to all of her performances. She really melts into all the characters she gets, no matter what personality they have, and that's what you want out of a voice actress. So those are my two favorites at this point in time. Who knows? Super Mario Plushes asks a few questions. Do you like video games? Yes, I do, though mostly just Mario, Sonic, and puzzle games and simulation games, so not Fortnite, Minecraft, Among Us, whatever Reddit's playing these days. What is your opinion on the most underrated Spongebob episode? My most underrated episode is 2 Thumbs Down, and it's more for a personal reason, not that it's objectively one of the greatest or funniest episodes ever. It's more that when I watched it, it really made me think that this show can still be amazing, it can still make me feel for these characters and get humor out of them. Basically, the moment I watched that, I knew that SpongeBob would be my passion for the rest of my life, and I'm glad that it is. And what is my favorite animal? Dogs or caterpillars. Dogs because they're the most loyal things on the planet, and caterpillars because they're just fun to watch. Cartman TV has quite a few. What's my favorite anime series? Haven't got one, I don't watch a lot of anime, though Pokemon, at least original series, is probably my favorite because I've watched every episode. I was on a bit of an Azumanga Daioh kid when I was a tween, so I hope that's held up. If it hasn't, then yeah. What's my favorite Simpsons character? I love the sidekicks, like Milhouse and Smithers, but my favorite of all would have to be Lenny. Like, even in the worst seasons, he still has some of the most memorable jokes, so he's probably my most relied on character for humor. And his relationship with Carl, good on him for having it. Do you like Derpy Hooves from My Little Pony? She's your favorite character. She's very fun to spot, and her rare speaking roles are very fun. She is very fun in Slice of Life and The Best Gift Ever, which I think is one of the better, more recent episodes. And the whole controversy about her name wasn't really worth it. I hear that when she first had a speaking role, way back in Season 2, Soccer Mum got upset over it and how they portrayed less mentally able people and calling them derpy. I don't like the name Muffins. I think that derpy is good. Having a character like Derpy who's a little dopey, for lack of a better term, is fun. It's fine. I don't have any issue with her. What's my opinion on Treehouse of Horror 31? I only saw the Toy Gory segment, and I really like the animation. I like that they brought Radioactive Man back in a small role. He's not a very utilized character, but I didn't find it super funny. Like, that's the only segment I've seen, and I'm just way too desensitized to The Simpsons these days, but yeah, very well animated. I think they really captured the spirit of a twisted version of Toy Story. And can I make a ranking of SpongeBob seasons 1 through 12? 7, 6, 8, 5, 10, 9, 4, 11, 1, 3, 2. And 12 at the moment would go between 10 and 9, but it's not set in stone. It's alright. Arrail System says, you watched the Steven Universe series? Nope, but I've heard some really good things about it and some really wonky things about it, which are kind of forgivable if it's spreading a good message, or multiple good messages. If people are getting something out of it, then good on them. What's my favorite ice cream flavor? Chocolate, but Hokey Pokey's great too. I think that Hokey Pokey flavored ice cream was invented in New Zealand, so thank us. You like Super Mario Glitchy 4? I like the old ones, the modern one sucks. I only watched them from 2014 to 2015, so I cannot comment on if it slipped in quality in any way, but I remember finding it fine. First one I watched was the Mario Simulator one, because simulation games were all the rage back then. And the last one I remember watching, or experiencing, was the Mario Simulator thing where you could pick what path to go down, the choose your own adventure one. That was really neat, and if it went downhill after that, then that stinks, because it can make a few, like, fine ones. You like Family Guy? Not really as a show, but it does have funny moments, in that I don't really like the characters or the stories, but honestly, it goes just for jokes, and the jokes can land when they're actually well written. I don't even mind the cutaways that much, but yeah, don't enjoy it as a show, rather as this weird joke machine that's gonna keep pumping out pop culture references. I'm fine with it being that way, not a super avid fan of it, although... What do you think of the movies Stand By Me, Doraemon 1 and 2? Never seen them, haven't been into Doraemon, but I hope it's cute. Rebel Friend asks, do you like the Jetsons? I haven't seen a full episode, but my parents loved it. It was their favourite show growing up. I have heard some people say that they liked it more than the Flintstones, and knowing how iconic that one is, sure, we're only, 41 years away from that show's present day, so we're closer to the day the Jetsons is set than when it came out. I'll get in touch with you. I might review it in 2062 if I make it that far, but I don't know, the design of it is very charming, and I hope that the writing has aged well, but the fact that I haven't really gone back and checked it out kind of says something about my comfort zone for animation. Lock A asks, what's one episode of each season of SpongeBob that would you show someone to show the style of that season? The best, the good, the bad? I wrote down a cheat sheet earlier, if that isn't noticeable. For season 1, I'd pick Opposite Day. It is very basic, but very funny by how it is later on. Pre-Hibernation Week for season 2, because the stakes are rising, and there's more mentalities, more locations visited, the characters are getting a bit nuttier and, by extension, funnier. Season 3, I'd go with Wet Painters, because it's going for something a little different from season 2, but still upping the ante. Still really going for those big laughs. For season 4, I'd pick Bummer Vacation because characters are getting a little loosey-goosey at this point, but still very consistently funny, following in 3's footsteps. Trying to make the same show but a little differently is what you'd want to do. For season 5, I'd pick The Krusty Sponge because it's going for a more experimental approach, which is fine for like the second of a new era, and it's also more self-aware about the popularity of SpongeBob. I already did a review of it a while back if you want to watch that. Porous Pockets for season 6 because it's not the worst thing ever, but you can watch it once and get the feeling of like, this is what season 6 is like, it's not for me. It's very like cliched and gets a little ugly at points, but is overall still trying a little bit to be the same show. I'd pick season 7's episode to be Earworm because it's very slow, very repetitive, but again, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are some good jokes in it, and it does kind of take advantage of its premise at least a little bit. For season 8, I'd pick For Hero to Go because That season just loved making these weird side characters that don't have any personality and just come out of nowhere. And that's one of the most egregious examples because that character did not need to exist. For 9A, I'd go with Safe Deposit Crabs because it's just an idea that they drag out for a long time and it's just sort of okay. For 9B, I'd pick What's Eating Patrick because you're starting to care about the characters again and it's getting a little more energized again, but not too much. For season 10, I'd pick Life Insurance because now it's very energized and it's trying to be the old Spongebob again, but with a few more mature twists a little. For season 11, I'd pick Bottle Burglars because it's like extending the wackiness of season 10 to new situations and new ideas and plot concepts like SpongeBob and Squidward breaking into something. And for season 12, I picked Broken Alarm because something I've noticed while doing the season 12 reviews on EmployeeAMillion is that it likes to take something about the mythos, or at least a little thing about SpongeBob that you kind of notice but don't really dwell over, and make a whole episode about that and what happens if that thing's challenged, and that's a fine direction to go in. Thank you for that question. It was very hard to write up. Gary Cuomo asks, my question is what other Nicktoon do you want to review? I'm interested in an Invaders and CatDog review from you. Those would be fun. I've got Invaders on DVD, but I've only watched the first few episodes. It's on the roulette wheel, but I don't know. I think it's more of an October thing, so nothing concrete, but look under the bed that Halloween. I have got Danny Phantom and Avatar in the pipeline. I've seen all the episodes from them, and I'm waiting for the right time to do them. I'm getting through later Fairly Odd Parents. Pray for me. And Rugrats would be fun just to close out the original Nicktoon trifecta, but it would seem pretty difficult to do. I'd have to do it in 2 parts, and I've already got a lot of cartoons that I want to finish up on, so maybe later down the line. Carly Skolnick has a lot. What's my favourite Camp Lazlo episode and why? Camp Dinky, because it's funny. What's my least favourite episode of Camp Lazlo and why? S is for Crazy, because it's not funny. What are my favourite episodes from season 11 through 20 of The Simpsons? Off the top of my head, stuff like Trilogy of Error, Eternal Moonshine, Papa's Got a Brand New Badge, Mo Baby Blues, The Girl Who Slept Too Little, and Springfield Up are some of my favourites of that era. What are my thoughts on Chowder and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Didn't watch a lot of Chowder, but I liked what I saw. Did not care for Foster's at all. It's not even some of the characters being annoying. I was just kind of repelled by the animation and the writing and how stop and go it all is. There are people who like it and that's fine, but maybe it just wasn't very popular down here because I've been getting into contact with more people from my youth, and there are a lot of times where we talk about cartoons, and when I bring up Foster's, they'd be like, I hated that one too, so maybe it's just a New Zealand thing. Who's my favourite Total Drama contestants? Izzy, because she's so unpredictable and you want that from a reality TV series, and Eva because they didn't bother with her, that's why she's my least favourite. What's my favourite Fairly Odd Parents episode and why? Deja Vu, I already did 2 little reviews of it. Don't want to go too far in depth with those again. Super Seal asks, how do you get popular on YouTube? 2 words, be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. Try to give people exactly what you think they'd really gain from you as a person. That's about the best I can say because there's no key to success on YouTube because the rules to success keep changing every year, so don't ask me. I'm sort of still sub 1000 levels, so maybe I'll rise up, but thank you for following me anyways. It's great. Do I have a Nintendo Switch? Yeah, but I haven't touched it in a while. The only 2 games that I actively played a lot on them were Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Sonic Mania, and I haven't touched those games in nearly a year. At the moment, I'm not really into gaming. Do you play Among Us? Nope. Do I watch Phantom Strider? Sometimes. I know him, he's a good sport. I don't know him as a person, but I do know him as a YouTuber, and I like that he's mellowed out over time. I like that He does give stuff that he talks about the benefit of the doubt and the more modest and humble approach to what he's reviewing. I like that. I think that he's a good chap, and I wish him all the best. Who's my favorite YouTuber? For gaming, some call me Johnny, and for cartoons, The Real Gyms, even if he only talks about a few. Those are the only ones that I'll stop everything to see a new video from. They're absolutely wonderful, and I love them. They're charming. I like them. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate my fans? 10. I'm just happy to have fans. Do you watch Hilda? Steven Universe? Or The Loud House? Don't watch a lot of like super modern ones. Spongebob and My Little Pony are the only like ones that have made recent episodes, and even those ones are based on decades old properties at this point. If you could say one thing to your fans, what would it be? Thanks for being fans. When do you think you're gonna reach the road to Avatar? Looking on Social Blade sometime next spring or autumn from me, so maybe around April or May. I promise that there won't be too much of a delay from the time I get 1,000 subs to the Avatar video, because I'm really happy to make it. I'm really happy to talk about that show. Even if it's not like my kind of show, I still respect the hell out of it, and I think that a review of it would be very fun to make and very fun to see reactions from. Has there been an episode of a cartoon that stuck with you even though it wasn't traumatic, emotional, had a good message, funny, or even bad? I think that the Spongebob special set in new locations can fill that, because they do vary in quality quite a bit, from the Dunces and Dragonses to the big oneses to the Atlanta Square Fantasies. At large, I think that the art direction is what makes them interesting to watch and to explore. It doesn't really leave a strong impact on me humor-wise most of the time, but I do respect that they're going for something different, and that's fun to see from Spongebob. And finally, Mr. Wolf the Multiple Guy has a few of his own. What is my favorite and least favorite movie? My favorite is Pinocchio, Disney's second ever movie. I just find it to be very enjoyable, very well made, well executed, and just very simple and fun, and it gets a little morbid at points, but that's not a bad thing. It just raises the stakes and makes you feel things that not a lot of other Disney movies do because of their added self-awareness. Like, Pinocchio was the start of something really special for animation at large, and I really like what it did for the industry. And my least favorite movie that I've watched is Biodome, because it's just two guys running around a very boring place and just yelling and laughing and breaking their backs, and it's just... I hate it when live-action movies, when all the characters act like 5-year-olds, because comedy needs integrity, and nothing in that movie has integrity, I'll say that, which is why it's one of the worst experiences I've ever had watching that damn movie. Will you be reviewing recent shows like The Loud House, We Bare Bears, DuckTales 2017, and Gravity Falls? Gravity Falls is somewhere on the agenda for the near future, but otherwise, I look at these shows and I think I'll wait for them to turn old and I'll get to them then, because I don't feel like stopping YouTube anytime soon, but those shows will be old eventually and I'll run out of stuff from the 90s and early to mid 2000s to talk about, so I'm just gonna wait for them to become historical before I can do like retrospectives on them, if that makes sense. Are you happy that the US has a new president? I'll keep politics to myself, this ain't the perfect place for it. Will you be talking about other adult animated shows aside from The Simpsons? I've already talked about The Critic and Brotown, and it's a little tougher to talk about an adult show because there's usually a lot more creative things going against them, and they do like to be offensive, and it's a little hard to defend that sometimes, but I have 2 shows on the roulette wheel that I do, and those are Clone High, which saw a boom in popularity, and it's very quick, it's very brief, it's only about 13 episodes, but it'll be fun to do. And another one is The Ricky Gervais Show, because I just find it to be very fascinating. It didn't technically start as an animated show, but it became one eventually, and although the animation isn't like the best animation in the world, It brings the stories that they tell to life and just makes them more profound. I really like the dichotomy of this very down-to-earth, pretentious guy and this very dopey simpleton arguing about life and the world, and no matter who you agree with, it's just a very fascinating show, both in podcast form and in animation form, and I'd really like to talk about it someday. And those are all the questions that I got by around the 7th of January. Thank you so much for asking them. Thank you very much for supporting me, as always. Don't worry about asking too many questions, but try to keep it to about 2 or 3 next time, for those of you who asked way more than 5 or 6. Happy to do this again next year. Hope you got a bit more out of me around this time, and see you again next time. Goodbye for now.